In this video, I'm gonna show you how I DIY'd West Elm side table. I'm gonna also share many woodworking techniques that I learned from this project, such as cutting a circle shape, staining efficiently, and correcting my mistakes. Hi guys, it's Maki. I'm a musician and interior designer. I've done so many DIY projects in the past, but when it comes to woodworking, I'm still on a steep learning curve. It looks like a simple side table, but I learned a lot and made so many mistakes and had to find ways to cover those mistakes. I'd like to show you everything because I think it would be helpful for you if you try not only this project, but also any woodworking project in the future, and you don't have to experience what I went through. So let's get started with the dimensions. And for those who would like to purchase this beautiful table from West Elm, I'll leave the link in the description. You need lumber for a tabletop and 2 legs. You will cut off a triangle shape from one of the legs and connect both legs to the tabletop. And to figure out the dimension of this triangle cutout, I looked at the pictures of different angles. It looks one corner is at the half of the height, and the other corner is at 1/4 of the width. So if you're making your original dimensions, please use this as a reference. And for the tabletop, I wanted to have a specific diameter, which is 17 inches, and the width of the lumber I bought was shorter than that. So I glued the 2 pieces of lumber together and cut it into a circle later. And here are the dimensions I made. Please ask a store to cut lumber a few inches bigger than the diameter of the tabletop. If you live in Los Angeles, I recommend Anderson plywood. Their lumber is better quality than home centers. They cut it for you very cleanly, including melamine board. But please check each lumber thoroughly before you purchase, as sometimes you still find damaged one there. You want to have thick lumber for a nicer look, especially for a tabletop. The lumber I got has 7/8 thickness. If you can't find thick lumber, you can glue 2 pieces together like this side table that I have. Oak is sturdy and durable, so it can turn into amazing long-lasting furniture. But honestly, it was very hard to work on since it's very hard to cut, heavy to carry, and it has the red color tone, which is very tricky to stain. I tried so many ways to cut and stain. I'll show you the solution I found later in this video. So I recommend using easy and soft wood such as pine if you're a beginner at woodworking. For those who don't want to deal with cutting a circle shape, you could purchase this type of pre-cut wood. The link is in the description box. I didn't choose the one because I didn't like the curved edge, and I wanted to have a sleeker look. Now let me show you other things that I recommend for this project. I'll leave the links to all the products down below. I research a lot before I buy and only choose the ones with great reviews and reasonable prices, so you won't have to look further. Electric sander. You could use a sanding block, but an electric sander saves so much time and protects you from having muscle aches. This is cordless, quick to charge, and one of the most reasonable one on Amazon. The last time I checked, it was sold out, so I'll leave the link to the similar product. I highly recommend using sand net than sandpapers. It's more expensive, but it's reusable, and it definitely lasts longer and you won't have to replace it constantly. Circular saw. This is an option since most lumber stores would cut lumber into the size you want, and you need to cut only single straight line for this project. But if you're doing woodworking in the future, definitely consider having one. Forget about hand saws. It takes too much time and won't make straight cut. This is Ryobi or Ryobi circular saw. I mean, it's Japanese company and we pronounce it Ryobi. Anyway, it's one of the brands that professional carpenters use, and much more powerful than the one from another brand I have. Router. To cut a circle shape, you do need a router. There are many alternative methods with different tools. I've seen a lot of home decor YouTubers use jigsaw without any other tools, which I do not recommend. I've seen their circles were kind of wavy and not perfectly circle. I tried 4 different methods including jigsaw, which I'm gonna show you later, and none of them worked except using a router. And a router is the proper tool to cut a circle shape, so please use a router, especially if you're using hardwood like oak. The one I have is a compact router. I researched a lot and the professional woodworker recommended this one. He said this one is even better than normal routers, which are much bigger and heavier. It got amazing reviews on Amazon. It's very reasonable and it comes with a tool to cut a circle shape, which is circle cutting jig. So I confidently recommend this one. Wood glue. I highly recommend Gorilla Wood Glue, but please be careful. Once the glue is dried, it will never come off. It's that strong. Staple gun. This is an option. You might not need it as the glue is so strong, but I used it for extra support. Wood filler. This was very helpful to fill small gaps and a jagged edge. Wood stain of your favorite color. I used the gel stain instead of oil stain. I'm gonna show you later why. I mixed two colors, which are dark walnut and briar smoke. Foam blushes. I recommend using these more than stain rugs. Finally, let's move on to the creating part. I started off by making the legs. I cut off the triangle shape with the circular saw, since a lumber shop doesn't cut irregular shapes. I sanded the lumber with 60 grit for rough surfaces, then 220 grit. I also sanded lightly with different angles to round out the sharp edges. Then I glued them together with Gorilla Wood glue and let it dry for a day. Then I started working on the tabletop. I sanded the edges of 2 pieces of lumber so the glue would stick well. Please make sure you glue them on the flat surface. Floors are not completely flat sometimes, so I recommend you do it on the workbench or table. I put the same size of pieces of lumber underneath so the glue wouldn't stick to the table. After I let it dry for a day, I stapled the back side with a staple gun. I wasn't sure if it was necessary, but I thought it could strengthen the connection. The diameter is the same as this side table I had, so I drew the circle using it. You could use this tool to draw a circle. The link is in the description. And here are the 4 methods that I try to cut a circle shape. I first didn't have a router, so I tried jigsaw, and it became a complete disaster. It became so wavy and looked like amoeba or something. Wavy furniture is trend, but it didn't even look like that. Maybe because red oak is too hard for jigsaw. So I went to a home center and bought a better blade. For the second try, I made this DIY tool that I learned from other YouTubers' video. I glued pieces of wood on the leftover lumber to secure the jigsaw, made a hole for the blade, screwed the tool to the lumber for the tabletop. It felt much better and smoother with the new blade. But I started realizing that the shape is becoming kind of oval instead of circle. I checked and found out that the blade came off the rail of the jigsaw. I fixed the blade and cut again, but no matter how many times I fixed the blade, it kept coming off, and I wasn't able to cut a circle shape. This might be because, again, the red oak is too hard, or the leftover lumber I used for the tool was too thick and only the tip of the blade was cutting, or it could be both reasons. Then for the third try, I used the circular saw. I secured the circular saw with the leftover lumber and screwed it to the lumber for the tabletop and started cutting. I set the minimum depth of the blade and made several passes. I set the depth a little deeper for each pass. It looked pretty good from the top, but when I finished, I realized I made big burn marks and the cut surface was pretty jagged. And these burn marks are too deep and jagged edge was too hard to sand off. So I finally decided to purchase a proper tool, which is a router. The one that I purchased came with 4 different bits, and I used 1/4 straight bit. Here's a quick instruction to use this compact router. It comes with a straight guide which you can use as a circle cutting jig. I measured the radius and screwed that jig to another tool which you can set up depth of a bit. Then I installed the bit pushing the side button. Secured the bit with a wrench. You have to keep pushing the button, otherwise a bit will keep moving around. Then I attached the jig and the tool to the router. I screwed the lumber for the tabletop to the leftover lumber, so I wouldn't cut the work table. Then I started cutting. I cut it very slowly with the minimal power. I made several passes. I set the minimum depth first and set the depth a little deeper for each pass. I was finally able to make a good circle after about 5 passes. Some parts were still a little bit jagged, and I made a few burn marks. Somebody suggested I should have used a better bit since the router is powerful enough. But it was so much better than the one I made with the circular saw. After that, I sanded it thoroughly. I also sanded the sharp edges lightly to round out. Here's a little tip to cover the imperfection. I used wood filler to fill the jagged edge and cover the burn marks. I used a cake scraper to smooth the surface. I also filled the connected part of the surface of the tabletop. The gap was almost invisible, but I wanted to make it perfectly. Then I connected the legs and the tabletop with the brackets. brackets. I had to try different ways. First, I screwed brackets to the legs apart from each other, but I didn't like that the many gaps were visible from the side view. Then I screwed all the brackets in the center, but I couldn't screw it to the legs as the holes were too close. And finally, I found this was the best position. Then I filled the gaps with the wood filler. After letting it dry for a few hours, I smoothed the surface with an electric sander. I used a sanding block for the connecting parts. Staining was a little trouble too, but please stay patient. I first tried oil stain. For oil stain, you need pre-stain conditioner. So I applied it with a foam blush and waited for half an hour. You need to apply oil stain within 2 hours after applying conditioner. I researched the colors that looked good on red oak, and I chose weathered oak. But it didn't look great on my red oak somehow. So I applied dark walnut on it, and it became so red. Probably because of the warm tone of the walnut has. I didn't like it at all, so I sanded the whole thing. I researched a lot again, and I found everyone says you should use oil stain that has green tone. So I bought rustic sage and aged wheat. I tried them both and mixed them with weathered oak and dark walnut with different ratio. I tested on the leftover red oak, but all of the colors looked awful. Especially the grains started becoming darker and darker, which I didn't like at all. And finally, I found about gel stain. Gel stain works like paint, and you can just apply it on your furniture without staining. And because it worked like paint, it mutes grains, which seemed perfect for my situation. I mixed briar, smoke, and dark walnut at a ratio of about 1:7. Then I applied it with a foam blush. I wiped it with a piece of towel, but you don't have to if you prefer darker look. Since the wood filler doesn't really absorb oil stain, I was thinking of coloring that spots with the furniture repair kit I have. But I was amazed the gel stain covered the spots very well. And when I tapped those spots with the towel that soaked gel stain, it became even better. It became completely invisible. In case you're interested in this furniture repair kit, I'll leave the link in the description. Seriously, it's the best. It includes markers, paint, crayons of all colors, and everything you need to repair your wooden furniture. For top coat, oil-based coat is better for gel stain, but oil-based coat has amber color. I didn't want to change the color anymore, so I used the water-based. To use the water-based on gel stain, you need to dry gel stain for 4 days. I know it sounds very long, but I waited and applied it with a foam blush. You need to apply it quickly as it gets dried very fast. Before you see the result, if you like the video so far, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And I would like to inform you that I just signed up on Buy Me a Coffee. Buy Me a Coffee is a trustworthy website where you can support your favorite creators by donating a small amount of money. You don't have to have an account. It's a simple and easy one-time donation. Since this is a brand new channel, if you think this video is helpful and if you can donate and support, I'd appreciate it very much. And it will be really helpful for me to invest in materials and tools to continue this channel. Alright, thank you for waiting. Drum roll. Here is the result. Ta-da! It became so much darker than I wanted, but I think it looks amazing. And I am still happy about the result. It was one of the toughest projects I did. It took so much time, but I'm so happy that I was able to learn so many things from this one project, especially the shape. It's very sturdy and well made. I thought it's kind of interesting that my version has a unique contrast between natural grains and the clean modern look. What did you think? If you know great woodworking tips, please share them in the comment section. I would love to make a community where we all can learn and help each other. Next episode of Maki DIY and Interior Design channel will be the remake of these two lights. I'll make them into trendy style. So if you want to know the update, please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to hit the like button too. And thank you so much to the people who already did. I am so happy that I have so many amazing viewers with positive vibes. Your kind support and warm messages put a big smile on my face and make me feel so happy that I started this channel. You guys are my motivation. Alright, thanks so much for watching and I will see you next time. Have an amazing day. Bye!